Brian Tracy, the renowned motivational speaker and author, once said that success equals goals and everything else is simply commentary. And what he meant by that was all successful people have one thing in common. And that one thing is that they set goals and then they accomplish those goals. Now, for many of us, this is not new, insightful information. We know that if we want to be successful in life, we should have goals. But if I were to ask you the question, do you have goals? You would tell me one or two things. You would say, I know I should have them, but I don't. And then others of you will say, I do have goals. Yay me, right? But then if I would ask you a follow-up question, and I would ask, how consistent are you in taking daily consistent action each day to achieve that goal? How is that for you? And some of you will probably say that you are very inconsistent about taking daily action to achieve that goal. So here we have a problem. All of us in life, all of us, no matter where you are watching this video, you want to be successful in life. No matter what area that is, there's some area in your life you want to be successful. And if the common understanding is that it is goals that will get us there, then we need to set goals and achieve goals to be successful. But that's the problem. It's challenging to set goals and to achieve those goals. James Clear, the author of the book Atomic Habits, once said this. He said, we don't rise to the level of our hopes. We fall to the level of our systems. Clear believes that goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making steady progress. Now, the first time that I heard of this whole don't just focus on goals, create a system around the goal, is I heard it first from Scott Adams, who is the creator of the comic Dilbert. And then I heard it from James Clear. And then more recently, I heard it from Pastor Craig Rochelle. Now, no matter what you believe about these people, one thing is true, one thing is for sure, that all of them believe in systems, all of them use systems, and all of them are successful in their respective fields. So the question is this: what are the benefits of designing a system around your goal? Well, the benefit is this, is that when the motivation and the inspiration, the energy, right, wanes to do what you need to do to accomplish the goal, the system anchors you to be sure that you continue to make steady, incremental progress towards that goal. I read a book a while ago, one of my favorite books called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And what he said was, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. So what makes people successful isn't these big, huge things these big leaps forward. What makes a person successful is the small disciplines that they commit to every single day. It's a system. They develop a system around their goals. Now, for me, I like to try things out. I love self-improvement. I love self-help. If it promises results, I'm willing to give it a try. And so I gave this systems idea a try. I had goals. I formed systems. I attempted to form systems around those goals, but I came across a problem immediately. And the problem that I came across, and you probably have this same issue, is that it sounds nice when people say, just create a system around your goal. But then you go, well, where do I start? Have you been there? Right? So I was there. Well, where do I start? When it's something that I have knowledge about, it's easy to develop a system around it because I already have knowledge concerning that area. I'll give you an example. Some years ago, I was a personal trainer who trained professional athletes. So when it came to my own personal goals, I wanted to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. That was easy to develop a system around that goal because I already have knowledge about how to do that. I know about diet. I know about nutrition. I know about weight training. I know about cardio. I know all of that. Time under tension. I know all of that. The principles of putting on muscle. And I was able to create a system. And I followed that system and I put on the weight that I wanted to put on. But then I tried to do the exact same thing when it came to being a copywriter. And as a copywriter, I knew absolutely nothing about copywriting. I wanted to develop the competency and the skill set of being a copywriter. But where did I start? I knew nothing about it. And one of the things about just starting from scratch, and you have a goal, being a competent copywriter, for example, I have the goal, but where do I start in developing a system? Like, what do I do? And what happens if my system is flawed? Doesn't that mean that my results are going to be shoddy? And I don't want shoddy results, right? I want to become masterful in it. I want to become an expert in it. So I put some thought to it, and I thought about it, and I decided on what to do. One of the things that I discovered as I was researching this problem is that in every field, it doesn't matter what the field is, if it's education, if it's religion, if it's health, if it's law, maybe not law, maybe I'm pushing it a little bit, but maybe law too. But there are around 8 to 15 best practices in every field. And then when it comes to competencies, there are 8 to 15 best competencies in each field, which kind of averages out, right? So it's 8 to 15 best practices, and then there are 8 to 15 competencies in every single field. And so what I decided to do was, because I didn't know where to start, I just did some research, and I found out what are the top 10 best practices in copywriting. What are the top 10 best practices in copywriting? And then I took those best practices, and best practices are the methods, the strategies, the guidelines that the experts in that field say, if you do these things, you're going to get your desired outcome. So just follow these guidelines, follow this method, this technique, this strategy. And if you do that, this is the outcome you're going to get. And so I took that and I structured those best practices throughout my week. Okay. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that as I structured my best practices out throughout the week, that became my system. Got it? So if the experts say, if you do these things, you will become a master in this, then that's the thing that I want to do. So the best practices becomes my system. And as I take myself through the system, that steady progress through that system, naturally, I'm going to achieve my goal of becoming an expert in copywriting as I dedicate myself, commit myself to the system. And the other thing is that some people might say, well, don't you think it's better to start with your competencies first, those skills, the knowledge and the abilities that's going to give you a foundation? And what I would say is you could do that, but by focusing on the best practices, you naturally are going to develop those competencies as well, right? So if I want to focus on the best practice of developing copy, of getting a person's attention, developing interest and desire, and then calling them to action, quite naturally, as I'm working on that, I'm going to develop the competency of persuasive writing and creative writing, and understanding my audience and giving my audience the benefits of a service rather than focusing on the features of it. See how that works? So this is how you do it. You have a goal. Let's say your goal is to lose 15 pounds. You have a goal, and then you research what are the best practices around managing your weight or losing weight. Top 10. Okay, so 8 to 15, let's say top 10. You take whatever those top 10 practices are, you structure it throughout your week. Okay, maybe Monday it is weightlifting or pulling exercises. Maybe Tuesday is pushing exercises. Wednesday you're taking a break. Thursday is cardio. You decide how you want to structure it. Just adhere to the principles. Okay. So you will structure the best practices out through your week. If it is a field that you want to track your competencies, I don't really see why you need to do that when it comes to managing your weight. But if you want to track those competencies, just have a list on the side of whatever competencies you are developing as you are adhering to these best practices. And then the final thing you want to do is you want to find a way to review your progress. What is the feedback loop? How are you going to see if you are actually getting better? And that's important, because if you're doing this on your own, you don't have a mentor, you don't have a way of submitting your work for an expert to review. How are you going to review your progress? And that's it. That's one way to take your goals, create a system around your goals, and to optimize that system with those best practices to make sure that you're on target. And when you come out the other side of that system, you are the person that you want to be. If this video has helped you out at all, please leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. Until next video.